regarding censorship, I wanted to talk about a case that is actually in my life with my content. So, as you all may know, if you followed me for a little while, I have been banned or disabled from Instagram a couple times on my personal account at I am Dave Hurt. And it's been for several different things, but the most egregious of which, in my opinion, was when I shared a screenshot of an actual peer-reviewed meta-analysis from the American Journal of Therapeutics, a legit scientific journal. It was a meta-analysis on the efficacy of ivermectin at treating COVID. Now, I didn't say it shows positive results. I didn't say it shows negative results. It was literally, here's a link to the study. Here's a screenshot of the front page of it so you guys can read it. This is a peer-reviewed scientific meta-analysis. And I appealed that because what happened was they took it down. I got a strike or whatever you want to call it. And basically, you can appeal. This was on Instagram. I don't know if I said that. You can appeal any sort of community guideline violation and say that it wasn't a violation of the community guidelines. So I'm going to pull this up and, oh, here we go, account status. So I'll put a screenshot of this. I'll put this up on the video version so you guys can see it. So it says you could lose access to your account in the future. All right, your content has been removed for going against our guidelines. Avoid losing access to your account and the permanent removal of your posts, followers, messages, and archive by following our community guidelines. Okay, that's fine. So I have a couple comments that it says goes against our guidelines on bullying or harassment, both of which were responses to people attacking me on a post I made defending myself. But I got reported for bullying on my post, responding to someone calling me names. So those are whatever, they're still in review. One since October 29th, 2021, and the other more recently since January 4th. So when you submit something for review, Instagram takes their sweet time with it. October, it's been 5 months, but that's not even the worst. So the worst is what I mentioned, this American Journal of Therapeutics screenshot of an article that I shared on my story. Again, this is a peer-reviewed, credible scientific journal that has been around for decades, the American Journal of Therapeutics. And it's a meta-analysis. So a meta-analysis is a combination of the results of a bunch of studies. So it's more statistically robust than a single study. It was done by a group of well-qualified scientists, okay? And again, I don't say anything. I don't make any conclusions about the results. I literally just have the article and say swipe up for full article. That's it. Put it on my story. Instagram took it down. Your story was removed. You violated our guidelines on harmful false information. So the American Journal of Therapeutics is harmful false information. So peer-reviewed scientific research by PhD scientists and MDs is false information based on some person at Instagram, right? Or some algorithm developed by some person at Instagram. Now, here's the thing. I can understand if this gets accidentally flagged because it says ivermectin or what have you. But here's the thing. This was removed, and I got a strike against community guidelines on August 12th of last year. I immediately submitted it for review, appealed it, whatever you want to call it, and it is still, quote, in review. So this is how they get you guys. They don't have to respond to your request for review. They don't have to do anything. And again, here we are. We now have data out of Japan where ivermectin has been shown in phase 3 trials to have antiviral properties against COVID. Again, I literally sharing a screenshot of a scientific article from a scientific journal was removed for misinformation. This is insane. If you had asked me 5-10 years ago, do you think we'll ever get to a place where social media website or social media sites, whatever you want to call them, social media platforms, I guess is the proper way to say it, would remove peer-reviewed scientific articles at their whim because they say it's false information, with no credentials, with no actual scientific background? They just remove it because they can, because it goes against the narrative. So this is still in review. I still have not gotten a response from Instagram. I lose access to features all the time, like going live on Instagram and stuff like that, because I have these strikes on my profile. And it's clearly an example of these big tech companies controlling the narrative, censoring information based not on any science. Again, I wasn't saying ivermectin is good or bad. I was just sharing a scientific article so folks could read it. And in fact, there's some information in that particular article that indicates ivermectin might not be the most effective. Okay? The degree of confidence in a lot of the findings are not strong. So it could very well be an article in opposition to the use of ivermectin. But here's the thing. Instagram doesn't want to let people even make that decision. They don't even want to let people read peer-reviewed science. And that is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Here we are, February of 2022, and you still can't even talk about effective or not effective potential off-label treatments for COVID-19, which is at this point an endemic disease. It's no longer a pandemic. It's an endemic respiratory disease, just like the flu, just like colds, rhinoviruses, etc. And you still can't even share a neutral meta-analysis of ivermectin and its efficacy against a virus. Instagram is actively blocking public health information. But the question you got to ask is why? Why? So who knows? Same reason they attacked Joe Rogan. They're trying to take him down. I thought by now this would have settled down a little bit. You know, they've made their money, right? The big pharma giants, they've minted money, hand over fist. But no, for whatever reason, they still want to silence the sharing of scientific information, of published scientific data. Instagram, Facebook, Meta, whoever you are, should be ashamed of themselves. This is anti-scientific. It is one step removed from 1984 level state control, truly. Because you have the Biden administration making direct statements at these social media companies saying, do more.
We want every platform to continue doing more to call out mis and disinformation while also uplifting accurate information.
You should do more to control misinformation. And misinformation is such a nebulous term. It's subjective. It can be whatever you want. We already know that Facebook is guilty of having fact checkers remove or label things that just go against their opinions because it was held up to legal standards. It's wild. It's disgraceful. As someone who is fascinated by the sciences, devoted a large part of my life to studying the sciences and doing science and publishing science, it is shameful. It's truly shameful. You should never be blocked from sharing a neutral scientific article that just shows data from a bunch of studies. It's insane. All right, my friends. Like I said, tomorrow I've got Maj Touré on. It should be a great show. We're going to talk about Joe Rogan, a bunch of aspects of that whole debacle, Whoopi Goldberg. We'll probably cover some of the Rock stuff. If you guys haven't seen that, he backpedaled essentially on his support for Rogan, and then it came out that he's made a bunch of racial and transphobic and just awful statements over the years. Howard Stern, video surfaced of him doing blackface, and of course Howard Stern has been super critical of Trump and anybody on the right, and calling them racists and bigots and homophobes and all that stuff. It turns out he's worse than everyone. So look, I'll say this in closing, because we're going to talk about it a lot tomorrow. We've all done and said things we regret, period. We're human. This game of digging up stuff different people have done and said, and it's just exhausting. It's ridiculous. It makes no sense. You do it to one side, and then the other side, stuff surfaces with them. Like, just move forward, man. Just move forward. Because if you're going to hold one person to that standard, you've got to hold everybody to that standard. And you got to ask yourself, do you really want people digging into stuff you've done in the past? Pulling up things you tweeted or said or posted on Facebook 15 years ago? Or even longer than that. Pictures of stuff. Like, I mean, look at Howard Stern. Look at The Rock. They act all high and mighty today, but you just go back a little bit and they're saying all kinds of insensitive things to all kinds of groups. Times do change. People do change. And I would be shocked if anybody actually said they think The Rock is a racist. I don't think The Rock is a racist. Did he say a bunch of racist and terrible things and do an awful impression of a Chinese person and call somebody a tranny and make other transphobic jokes? Yeah, he did all that stuff. I don't think he's a bad person. He was probably just trying to get a rise out of a crowd. Yeah, it was wrong to say those things, awful things to say. I'm sure he regrets them in retrospect, and I'm sure he learned from them. But I don't think he's a racist, just like I don't think Joe Rogan is a racist. And I don't think Whoopi Goldberg's a racist or an anti-Semite or anything like that. I think sometimes people say things that they regret, that are insensitive. And if we're going to play the game where anything you say is unforgivable, well, good luck to you all. And with that, my friends, until next time, keep your minds free.